I quit my career on Wall Street to become a musician. Here's my story.
These city lights, no, they don't shine on me no more. And all the streets I used to walk are empty corridors.
Hey everyone, my name is Sasha Atlas. Welcome to my channel. Currently in my mid-20s, I'm from New York City and I'm currently living in Miami. I am a musician, singer, songwriter, DJ, and I make original music that's like a blend of pop, rock, dance, all that good stuff, generally falling into the alt-pop genre sphere. And up until 6 months ago, this was not my full-time career. And my life couldn't look any more different than what it did just a year ago. Like many of you, I had a full-time job. I had a career. I was a trader on Wall Street. But a series of mix-ups in my life have caused me to reconsider that path. And now I'm here and I'm making music. And it's had its ups and downs. So here's my story. But first, this video is sponsored by Ana Luisa. Ana Luisa is a jewelry company that makes unbelievably beautiful, high-quality jewelry that I'm wearing right now. Everything I'm wearing right now is by Ana Luisa, and I absolutely love it. Their designs are unique, high-quality, and affordable, and they're also carbon neutral, which is very cool. They're long-lasting, they're tarnish-resistant, they're water-resistant, which is super important for me because I live in Miami and I sweat and swim a lot. They're also hypoallergenic, and they're made with high-quality materials. Everything that I'm wearing is 14 karat gold on brass. So Ana Luisa sent me a couple of pieces and I honestly really love them. They sent me this ring, this bracelet, this layered necklace that I'm currently wearing. They also sent me these gorgeous earrings. Not only is the jewelry beautiful, it's also pretty comfortable, and it feels nice. It's heavy, it's got weight to it. I like to wear jewelry all day. Like, I don't like taking it off, and I am not a ring person at all. I find them uncomfortable, and I use my hands a lot. But honestly, I've been wearing this and this bracelet all day. You know, like, I wore them through the night. I didn't even notice them. I went to go get my nails done today and they actually made a comment about this bracelet. They said it was really nice, so I thought that was sweet. Made me feel like a very put together, classy lady. All of these pieces are beautiful. I love them. I love the way that they kind of effortlessly step up a casual look and just make it a little like, you know, more put together, dressier and nicer. Like I said before, they're also carbon neutral and they come in these like very cute packet. Each one of them came in their own little individual envelope. It's like a canvas. They've been climate neutral certified since 2021. And I didn't know this when they offered to work with me, but I'm really impressed with some of their partnerships. Partnered with Plastic Ocean Foundation, which is particularly interesting to me because I care a lot about water conservation. And with jewelry pieces starting at just $39, I mean, it's pretty incredible value for everything. You're getting a beautiful, high quality, durable piece. Thank you, Ana Luisa, for sponsoring this video. Use my link. You'll get 20% off of your next purchase, which is linked down below in the description. So growing up, I came from a very musical family. I've been doing music for as long as I can remember, honestly. From a very early age, I was singing, dancing, playing piano as early as 6 years old. And in my family, that was sort of expected. I come from a long line of musicians. My dad is a songwriter and a guitarist, and he also plays piano. My brother's a keyboardist. So my grandfather played violin, and we would all jam together. And it was just part of our family growing up that, you know, we all had a really strong and real appreciation for music. But the thing about it all is that we were an immigrant family. So, you know, my parents came to the United States and they were refugees from the Soviet Union. So they really didn't have anything, like no money, no possessions, nothing. Just some very basic government programs that were helping them out, but really weren't offering that much. So the mentality was very much, you know, an immigrant mentality of survival and of, you know, being frugal and being really career oriented and like future minded. There was this important emphasis on being a well-rounded person, someone who had a lot of talent and could do a lot of really interesting things, including music and writing. At the end of the day, it was emphasized that you really need to have academic excellence and a like forward path to success. You didn't question it, you know, you just sort of grew up thinking, okay, I have to do this. I have to get really good grades. I have to go to a really good college. I have to get a really good job so that I don't have to worry about financial insecurity because, we experienced that. My family experienced that for generations in the Soviet Union. They experienced that when they came to the United States. And it was just part of the generational mentality. So I went to these like gifted and talented schools where I, pursued a pretty rigorous academic education. And basically all of my time after school was dedicated to music. And I kind of did the same thing in college where I double majored, and I, majored in politics and I majored in theater, and did art kind of alongside this other thing because I thought I was going to go to law school. That's why I majored in politics. Whatever. That didn't end up happening. So yeah, I never really considered music as a valid career option because there was no financial stability to be had from that sort of life. I knew what life could be like without financial stability, so that was something that was very much emphasized from the get-go, that that's not how my life was going to be. Long story short, I didn't go to law school because I bombed the LSAT and I scrambled to find a job before graduation. Like I said, I'd had this mentality that like you had to start making money as soon as you left school. It was just essential. There was no flexibility for a gap year. There was no kind of way that I could think about like going to do something else and explore my options and explore my passions. So what that meant basically was that I contacted every adult that I knew and asked them if they knew anyone that was hiring or if they knew of anyone who might know someone who was hiring. And I made hundreds of these phone calls, and I cold emailed people on LinkedIn, and I got a LinkedIn Pro account when I was still in college, and I started messaging anybody. I didn't even care what field it was. I was looking at real estate. I was looking at like paralegal jobs, kind of. I was definitely looking at Wall Street or finance jobs because I knew that would be a good kind of salary straight out. And I wasn't sure if I was going to take the LSAT again, but I knew I just wanted to do at least something to earn some money. I'm very happy I did this because I got a crash course in networking pretty early. Eventually, my brother's ex-boss's daughter had just left her job, and they were looking to replace her. So I called her up and I asked her to have drinks, and we had drinks, and she was a little bit older than me, but she was really cool and we hit it off, and she recommended me to fill her seat basically, and my resume ended up on the top of my later boss's desk, and that's how I basically got hired. I mean, obviously I went through a pretty rigorous hiring process after that, but her recommendation was worth a lot. If people take anything away from this video, I think hopefully there will be a couple takeaways from this video, but one of them is definitely like networking works, and that's really how most connections are made and how most jobs are acquired and how major kind of things happen in people's lives. So anyway, that's a nice little takeaway. It was a trading job for an asset manager, and I would be trading and managing a portfolio of bonds on a team. And I didn't know anything about any of this stuff. I studied economics, kind of. This is not the kind of stuff that anyone learns in college. How to trade and how to think about these complicated financial instruments. So I studied my ass off in trying to figure out what this stuff was. I was super overwhelmed leading up to graduation because I just didn't feel like I was ready. I went to work immediately after graduation, and I was just so lost for the first couple of months of what I was doing. I thought they were going to fire me. I just was like, there's no way, because I just don't understand what's going on. But eventually, things started to click, and I did kind of pull through. And honestly, a year in, I felt like I kind of had it covered, and it was good. I ended up really enjoying that job, and I worked in that job for a couple of years. I was living in New York City, living this very glamorous kind of Wall Street life. They were taking us out to all of the best restaurants. They were taking us to concerts. I was drinking a lot at various, drinking establishments and nightlife scenes in New York City. I felt very glamorous and very cool. But there really wasn't any time for me or the things that I cared about. It was all work all the time. And even if I wasn't like explicitly working, and I did because we had long hours and we were doing a lot of stuff, if I wasn't explicitly working, I was doing something work adjacent, like going out to meet with people and going on work trips and all sorts of stuff like that. So I didn't really have time for me and for the stuff that I wanted to do. Growing up, I was always doing something music related. I was in bands. I was doing music stuff with my friends. My friends and I had like a theater company for a little while, and we toured the United States while we were in college with an original show with music that we'd written. It was just so much a part of my life to have music as this extracurricular thing. And it was the first time when I started working, it was the first time in my life when I didn't have that anymore. There was no room for art, for music whatsoever in my life anymore. At the beginning, I was, so enraptured in this world and in this life that I was in that I didn't really notice that this was happening. I didn't notice how like little pieces of me were starting to kind of get eroded as I stayed in the job longer. Music was a huge casualty. I didn't write any music while I was working, really. I kind of stopped performing. I mean, I still performed every once in a while in like cover bands around New York, but it was just a shadow of what it had been before. And it's funny, when I joined my job, I joked to my colleagues that, this will be fun, but in 5 years, I'm gonna quit and pursue my artist career. But while I was in the thick of it, I wasn't thinking about music at all. I just sort of decided, okay, this is my life now, and everything else kind of started to fade away. That is, until the pandemic. Are we allowed to say the P word on YouTube anymore? I'm not sure. I'm not monetized, so I don't really care. The pandemic was a game changer for sure. Setting the scene, it's February 2020. I'm in New York City. It's cold, and we find out we're not going back to work. We're working from home. I was cooped up in my apartment. I was all alone. It was the first time since college that I could spend a pretty significant amount of time with myself and alone and at home and surrounded by my things and my world. So while I was still working, my keyboard was only a few feet away. My music recording equipment was in a box under my bed that I gradually started to pull out as I had more time for myself. It started because I was just bored, and I, would finish working and I wouldn't be able to do anything, and I'd just do music instead. Couldn't go out with my friends, go for a walk, but like, how many walks are you going to be going on in the middle of winter in New York? So I started doing music again. And it really started to change everything for me. I had more time than I had ever had in the years that I was working, and it made a tremendous difference to my overall outlook and my health, and like just generally the way that I felt about life. Sort of started to feel like the gap year that I'd never had. I had way more time than I ever did to explore my interests and the things that mattered to me. It was the first time that I had been outside of the pressure cooker environment of my job, and I realized that it all wasn't that serious, and that I could have like space for me, myself, and my hobbies. And it was the first time that I had the ability to just like play and enjoy and explore and be creative without anybody watching, without anybody having to like look at me and be like, are you working hard enough, and all sorts of stuff like that. So I started writing music while I was cooped up in my apartment. It was the first time I'd ever dedicated any meaningful time to songwriting. Because I'd written songs before, but I hadn't really spent a lot of time like cultivating a songwriting style or like practicing songwriting specifically. And I started doing that over the pandemic. I wrote a lot of music. Mostly it was terrible, but some of it wasn't bad. And some of it was good enough to inspire me to potentially look at it more seriously. And at that point, I didn't know what that meant. I just sort of was thinking, okay, maybe I can give music more space in my life, performance, and being an artist a little bit more space in my life than I had been giving. But as the months went on in New York City, it just became increasingly oppressive and difficult to be there during the pandemic, and just in general. And I can make a whole separate video about moving out of New York City. My next song that's coming out, New York, It Was Fun, pre-save in the link below, is all about my breakup with New York City, but that's a story for another time. It became difficult to be there, especially in the winter months when it was just dark and cold and depressing, and there wasn't a lot keeping me there. Ultimately, I decided on going to Miami, and enjoying some warm weather away from like the disgusting, sleety, cold wetness of New York City in the winter. So I went. Thought I'd only stay a couple of months, but as these things do, everything just kind of kept rolling and my life just kept changing faster than I could keep up with it. I moved to Miami in January of 2021, and I immediately fell in love with it. I was close to the beach. I loved the sunshine. I loved the weather. I love water sports in general. I immediately fell in love with it. I felt like so much weight and stress had been taken off my shoulders just by coming to a place with a little more sunshine, room to breathe with fresh air, which, during that time was something everyone was really craving and appreciating. Over many lazy afternoons at the beach, I just started reconsidering my life. I was like, what am I doing in New York? Do I belong there? Consequently, that line of thinking was like, okay, is Wall Street right for me? Is this life right for me? Maybe I should be doing something else. Maybe I should be doing something more flexible, working for myself, working from home. All of these things pointed to the fact that I sincerely missed music so much. I missed art so much. And I started weighing the cons of what life in New York, in the way that I'd known it, was actually like. I knew that I was extremely unhealthy in my job. I'd gained a lot of weight. I was constantly drinking coffee and alcohol and in this kind of like bad cycle of relying on these substances to get me through the day and put me to sleep. I was overstimulated. I was distracted. My hair was kind of falling out. It wasn't great. I wasn't going to the gym because I didn't have time or energy. It was just not a very healthy way to live at all. And then, the whole thing about golden handcuffs and like, was I just staying in this job because the money was good and I was just afraid of giving up the money? And, like I said before, with this whole like immigrant mentality that I'd grown up with, this was a major factor. This is something that I had to sincerely consider and was one of the leading motivators to how I'd lived my life before. Will I have financial stability quickly became a kind of lifestyle creep and something that I'd just gotten used to. I'd gotten used to the standard of living that I had. I had to like take a step back and realize, okay, well, do I need all this stuff? Do I need such an expensive apartment? Do I need to live in this super expensive city? Do I need takeout every night? Do I need to go to all these places and wear all of this expensive stuff? Like, do I need to live this way? That's not the same thing as financial stability. And I came to realize that, I loved the luxurious lifestyle. There were certain things that I really appreciated about having, the disposable income that I had and the financial stability that I did have, but like, I didn't need all of that stuff. And the pursuit of luxury goods, the pursuit of a luxury lifestyle isn't what motivates me whatsoever. Frankly, I just sincerely missed art. I sincerely missed music. I missed the feeling of being amongst creative people and making something, because I didn't feel like at my job I was making anything. When I took the most pride in my job was when I actually built spreadsheets and systems and models that were like used by other people, where I created something and it was useful. And it's just so like ridiculous to think about that I was looking to like spreadsheets and Excel models to like satisfy that creative urge in me, which of course they could never do. So I knew that music was missing in my life, and I knew that I had to find a way to reincorporate it. So I took the plunge, kind of. I decided, hey, I'm going to release my first song. There was a decent amount of pushing from people too, to give me the kind of boost and courage that I really needed to do this. But I had no idea what it was like to build a brand as an independent artist. This was all stuff that was like, it wasn't rocket science, but it was gate-kept information that I had no access to, and I had to learn along the way. I started dedicating more and more and more of my time to music, to the point where like I was seriously considering them, my Wall Street career as a trader and my artist career as like concurrent career choice. It got to the point where I started treating them with like equal amounts of respect and time and dedication. As soon as I'd be done with my day job, and then sometimes during my day job, because I was working from home and no one could really notice, I'd start on like the music stuff. I'd write, I'd record, I'd market, etc. Educate myself as much as I could. And yeah, it was just so fulfilling. It was really, really filling a hole that I'd been missing. And then I got laid off. Okay, well, it didn't exactly happen like that. You know, I received notice that my company was being sold and that everyone was going to be laid off relatively early on. So I had a long time to prepare for this. And in February 2023, I was finally laid off and I was no longer employed. I was unemployed for the first time in my life. And for the first time in my life, there wasn't something like school or work filling my daylight hours. I was just free. And I cannot tell you how relieved I felt. Like, you think getting laid off is, and for most people it is very stressful and something that, you know, no one wants to happen. But for me, it was like I had been given permission to stop. That someone had made the choice for me that, you know, it's okay. You don't have to do this anymore. You can let go of this life. And I don't think that I would have ever done it if I hadn't been laid off. I don't think I would have stepped away. I think I would have always found ways to justify to myself why I should remain in this career and why it makes sense and why it's the responsible thing to do and why it's the right thing to do and how music isn't going to work out and yada, yada, yada. Moreover, I just felt like the door to what I actually wanted to do was finally open. I felt like fate had stepped in and been like, okay, you were thinking about this. You've been doing this. Now it's your time. Take this time. I don't like to believe in things like destiny or like things that you're meant to be anything or meant to do anything, because my life has shown that I can do and I can be happy doing many different things. You know, there's not one path that's set out for any of us. We have choice, we have free will, we have the ability to choose where we go. But I don't discount the little ways that the universe might nudge us in certain directions. And this was one of those times. I had been considering music, I'd been doing music, I'd been thinking about it seriously, and now it was like, okay, you said you want to take this seriously, take it seriously. Go for it. And I felt like I'd finally been given permission to do that, which is, you know, a mental block I'd had for my whole life. I can't be an artist. There's lots of reasons why I can't be an artist, but that's just not the path for me. And now, you know, the world was sort of saying, maybe that is a path. Maybe that's one way to live your life. So since then, it's been kind of a crazy ride. Since then, I released an EP and a few other songs, other singles. I learned to DJ and gotten gigs as a DJ. I've put on my own live shows in New York City and had people come, and it was awesome. And, you know, there's some more videos of that on my channel. If you guys are interested, you should definitely check them out. I started meeting all these really awesome people through TikTok and through Instagram and through like networking and stuff. I started cultivating that creative community again, which has just been giving me so much like energy and motivation, and it's been so fulfilling, in a word. And don't get me wrong, none of this is bringing in any money at this stage. I'm only just starting to get some brand sponsorships and some like paid gigs. It's definitely not bringing in anywhere close to what I was making or what it costs to like do this, but that's not stopping me because this is an investment in myself. I'm not thinking about this as like, at least not at this stage, that like I need to bring in income anymore, because I'd spend my whole life in that mindset. I earned through the years that I spent working the time and the ability and like the flexibility to just like do this. And I'm doing it because I want to, because it feels good, because I feel like I need to. I feel like I would really regret it if I didn't give it a real shot. And I am so grateful to have the ability and the time and the privilege to explore this life. And I'd walled this off in my heart. It felt like for years this wasn't something that I was allowed to do, and it's just so amazing to have the ability to do it and to give myself permission to do it. I'm not thinking about it like, well, what if it doesn't work out, or what if I fail, or, you know, like I need to make it in this amount of time, because those are all limiting beliefs at this stage, and I don't think that they're helpful. If it only lasts a year or 5 years, or if I figure out a way to make this my life, you know, I'll be satisfied knowing that I did it, and I'll be happy knowing that I tried at the very least. And I'm having such a great time doing it, and I'm learning so much. I'm meeting so many great people that honestly, it's already so worth it. All the money I've spent, all the time that I've invested, it's worth it. I don't feel badly about it at all. And I truly, from the bottom of my heart, encourage anyone that has the ability to responsibly take some time to figure out who you are and what you want to do, not limit themselves in their path, and to truly explore that, because it's changed my life. Literally, I went from living in a tiny shoebox apartment in New York City, paying exorbitant amounts of money but living a very luxurious and glamorous life, to, you know, having my own studio in Miami, meeting people, meeting, you know, new love, new friends, new everything because of this change that I'd made. I'm nothing like what I used to be like. And I think, you know, people that would have met me from my Wall Street days would be kind of not exactly surprised, but I mean, taken aback a little bit by who I've become. In the immortal words of Shia LaBeouf, just do it. Follow your dream, or whatever he said. So anyway, thanks again for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. Once again, thanks to Ana Luisa for sponsoring this video. Like, you can click the link in my description for 20% off of any jewelry piece on their website, and I'll see you guys in the next video.